Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. This month we have invited experts for sharing their insights on the budget. Overall CV sales are growing after COVID relaxation and minor impact of latest wave is still there. EV vehicles are increasing continuously along with exports. However, semiconductor and price hikes are impacting auto sales. This year budget is focused on growth and uh, 35% increase in capex, Gati Shakti, electric vehicle shopping policy, and charging station related declaration will help auto sales. Also, industry friendly schemes like ECGSL, PLI, and relaxation to startup dates will also support auto industry. But there are certain negatives like unblended fuel cess and no relaxation to tax slabs. This all will impact the consumption and ultimately the auto sales. If you see, CV sales are reasonably growing after COVID relaxation, and there is minor impact on the latest wave. Further, the declaration of highway 25,000 kilometers highway declaration and scrappage policy will support CV sales. Tractor sales are down as compared to last year because last year sales were at peak and there is no major concern on tractor sales. That is expected that it will recover for very soon in next year. But there are concerns on cars and two-wheelers. PV sales also will get support from the scrappage policy. However, semiconductor is troubling along with the price hikes in the car sales. And the worst hit in auto industry, which is 70% of the total volume, is two-wheeler. And if you see, two-wheeler volumes are reducing for last 3 years continuously. And there is some good news on the electric vehicles and battery swapping will surely help, but overall the condition in two-wheeler is not so good. If we see in details, electric vehicles and two-wheeler have increased from 25,000 to almost 1.43 lakhs. So it's almost 5 times. Similarly, in other sectors also electric vehicles are increasing continuously. So this is in brief about auto sales and budget. Please write to us for detailed data and also like, share and subscribe our channel for more such videos. I also want to thank all the experts who have shared their insights on the budget. Now let us hear to our experts.
Budget 22-23 is a capex driven budget with a major emphasis on spend in infrastructure. The allocation towards infrastructure projects is around about 7.5 trillion rupees, of which a major portion is going towards roads. Around 25,000 kilometers of new highways are planned, which is around 2 times the quantum of the previous financial year. There continues to be a steady state emphasis on airports and ports, as also multimodal cargo infrastructure. The allocation towards railways is up by around about 20%, which shows a major activity upswing there. In terms of rural infrastructure, the Gram Sadak Yojana irrigation projects, drinking water projects continue to get emphasis at nearly the same rate as the previous year. The allocations towards Awas Yojana, affordable housing and urban infrastructure continues as before. However, the emphasis on sanitation and the capital allocation for that is up by around about 31% in budget 22-23. A further look at the solar ecosystem also. This is something which is in line with the green economy aspect of policy making in India and globally. A PLI scheme of 19,500 crores has been announced as part of the enhancement package, which is focusing on Make in India for cell and module for solar projects. There is also a policy emphasis on biomass pelletization for blending with coal for thermal power plants. There is also policy initiatives and capital expenditure allocations towards energy efficiency projects and coal gasification projects. One of the highlights of this budget is also the sovereign green bonds, something which is a first time situation in India and goes a long way to finance green power projects with global money raised by the nation's government and deployed at global costs for local green projects. This will help substantial cost efficiencies in the financing of such projects. Overall, this is a budget which focuses on the demand side of the economy, pushing up demand to prime the economy into higher growth. The high emphasis on infrastructure is expected to push up activity in EPC, construction equipment manufacturing, cement and steel long products manufacturing. It also will have a multiplier effect in employment because of the emphasis on infrastructure construction and real estate projects. Thank you.
Hello viewers. So the reaction to the budget is that it was a surprising budget. Most people expected a populist budget, but it turned out to be a growth-oriented budget. It is taking forward the theme which government had adopted last year to focus on growth and public spending, since private capex has been limited and not yet come into the play. The only option government has is to increase public spending. The focus of the government has been on growth, primarily through infrastructure development. If we look at what in infra, I can put it in three major categories. One is the housing. So obviously the PM Awas Yojana has been doing very well. So more money has been allocated to that. Second is the physical connectivity and digital connectivity. So under physical connectivity, we are talking about highways, roadways, expressways, logistics, multimodal hubs, waterways, ropeways. So pretty much everything, all the areas of physical connectivity has been addressed and a lot of allocation has been done there. Then there is also digital connectivity. There we are talking about things like if you look at post office linking, now that is going to take banking deep into the hinterland with more than 1.5 lakh post office branches all over the country. I mean, it's the biggest network. So if banking reaches every single village, every single deep township, then it's good for the digital connectivity. The optical fiber network rollout to every under BharatNet to every village is again going to be a big game changer as far as digital connectivity is concerned. Also, there's been focus on data centers and related energy requirements, which is again something which will be which is along the same theme. And the third major area has been energy, because energy is required to power any kind of infrastructure and the industry growth. So and energy demand has been going up post COVID in India as well as all over the world. Even this coming year we expect another 10% increase in the energy demand, and with the strong commitments given by Indian government towards the COP towards emissions control and the carbon neutrality. So there is no way but to go for renewable energy. So if you look at the 19,500 crore PLI given for solar energy, which is now the prime driver of additional energy generating capacity being added, that if we look at that, that shows that
With For me, it's an exceptional budget. With 5 states going for assembly elections in a few weeks' time, one expected the budget 2022 to really give a lot of soft to the voters. No, the government has disappointed all of us. Instead, its focus is on growth because its ultimate objective is to make in India a grand success. That can only happen through, like investing money in proper infrastructure. That is where it is using the already unveiled PM Gati Shakti program. Because, to make India a real manufacturing hub, you need a lot of logistics support. Logistics support in terms of better highways, better ports, better waterways, multimodal logistic parks, all this kind of a thing. Not only building this kind of a stuff is going to generate a lot more job, even the logistics side can also generate a lot more job. Okay, and coming to the other aspect of as far as the automotive industry is concerned, India is committed to really go in for the carbon emission reduction. So obviously, a few moves announced include a 2 rupees cess on 2 rupees cess per liter for non-ethanol fuel usage. Of course, which obviously means all of us will really, shell out 2 rupees more per liter every day. Okay. Then it is also coming out with to nudge the automotive industry to move towards electric vehicle, path away from the ICE model. Okay. It is also, coming out with a battery swapping policy or a strategy. Obviously, battery is going to be a major constraint. So that is where it is moving in that direction. By and large, it's a very interesting budget. Perhaps this can be another, path-breaking one, like what in 1991, Dr. Manmohan Singh, the then finance minister, unveiled a new liberalization policy for the government. Or having said that, see, the intention is all looks good, but how far this will, really become reality, that needs to be watched.
Hi, I'm Dr. Neelam Tandon, and today I'm going to share implications of Budget 2022. I'm a professor and head of the postgraduate program at Jagannath International Management School, Kalkaji, New Delhi. So why Budget 22 is so significant? As we know that all over the world, countries are passing through tough time because of the pandemic. So the impact of prolonged pandemic has resulted in economic disruptions across the globe. Moreover, we can see there are supply chain disruptions, energy price volatility, and localized wage pressures, which have resulted in uncertainty around inflation. At the same time, interest rate volatility has increased the downside risk for emerging market with outflow of capital with stringent fiscal positions, especially when we talk about with respect to debt levels, which have significantly increased in the past 2 years, and this can disrupt economic growth. So the fulcrum of the budget should be economic growth. Now this budget 2022 proposed by Finance Minister, you can see is based on 3 core parameters, and they are all driving towards promoting investment, which investment creates a multiplier impact which will lead to multiple income and sustainable economic growth. This cannot be achieved without private investments in the economy. So there has to be a platform which has to be created for private investments to crowd in. And for that it is important that some steps to be taken by Government of India. That is what has been proposed in this budget 2022. So the fulcrum of the budget, keeping into consideration pandemic, is promoting economic growth, which should be inclusive and can lead to welfare of people in long term. For this is it very important that in today's context, when people are relying on online transactions and there is a high impact of pandemic, keeping that into consideration, it is important to connect each point in India through digital connectivity. So the objective in this budget was to promote digital connectivity by going for laying down background and foundation to go for promoting digital economy with the support of fintech and technology enabled development in the country. Finance is always a constraint for a country, and especially during this pandemic when the expenditure needs to be more channelized towards health and well-being of the people. So it is important for infrastructure development, for social and economic infrastructure development. It's important that the government and the private players should go for investment hand in hand, and that is why it is essential to promote public-private partnership model, which will help to crowd in private investment in the country. To promote economic growth, Government of India has launched Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Now, Gati Shakti National Master Plan is a comprehensive plan which takes care about development of roads, railways, airports, ports, mass transport, waterways and logistics infrastructure. This will help to connect cities, towns and will substantially reduce logistic cost and will make the country more logistically efficient, which will help us to have space in the value chain. At the same time, National Highways network is proposed to be increased or to be expanded by 25,000 km in 22-23. If Indian villages are connected, to entire remote areas are connected through roads, this can create n number of job opportunities for people. This can substantially reduce cost. This can enhance efficiency of farmers and even other set of people. So 20,000 crore will be mobilized through innovative ways of financing. This will help to complement the public resources and reduce fiscal deficit to great extent. Another very important aspect for Indian economy is agriculture. And if we talk in terms of fiscal budget or the fiscal deficit of the government, the important component is subsidies. So the farm subsidies form about 2% of India's GDP. And the total input subsidy per hectare forms 18.17% of the farm income per hectare. If you talk about total subsidy to farmers, form about 21% of their farm income. So it is important to reduce government expenses on subsidies and to maintain fiscal deficit. For this, it is important to enhance agriculture sector through digitally connecting them, through promotion of research and through investments by public, private and partnership model. So this is how what government has proposed through this budget is that they are going to promote digital literacy. If farmers are digitally connected, that will help them to be more efficient, productive, resilient and sustainable. If agriculture sector gets investments for research through agriculture and technological, both the players working together and other stakeholders, which will lead to enhancing the contribution of agriculture value chain not only within the country but with respect to rest of the world also. Here co-investment model plays very important role, and this is going to be facilitated through NABARD to finance startups which will be investing in agriculture sector and contributing to enhance the productivity and make farmers more resilient to the fluctuations in the market. This will also create rural enterprise ecosystem for farm produce and value chain. The budget has also taken care about irrigation and power. So the implementation of Ken Betwa link project, that is a river link project, is going to cost 44,605 crore, but it is going to generate irrigation benefits to 9.08 lakh hectares of farmland. It will create drinking water supply for 62 lakh people, 103 megawatt of hydropower, and creation of 27 megawatt of solar power will be created through this. So this will be of immense help for power generation, for irrigation, and for making accessibility of drinking water to 62 lakh people. The allocation of 4,300 crore is in revised estimated 21-22 and 1,400 crore in 22-23 have been made for this particular project. Now, digital resources at farmers' disposal not only lead to the efficient utilization of capacity, but it also has the scope to improve processes on the field. So, digital connectivity will lead to effective utilization of available resources and will add immense value to the agriculture value chain. The other segment apart from the farmers is about MSMEs. So the budget offers several concessions for the MSME sector to facilitate ease of doing business, and there's increase in the budgetary allocation for the MSME sector from last year, rupees 15,699.65 crore to 21,422 crore. That is increased by 26.71%, because MSMEs are the major contributory factors and they are the core component in the industrial and other segments to bring inclusive growth for the country. Education is the backbone of any country. So, and looking at current scenario where digital connectivity is very important, so the budget proposes a digital university to provide access to students across the country, which will be imparting world-class quality education to them and not confining to English, but it will be in vernacular languages, which will be served through collaborative network of hub scope model. So this will at least make higher education reach to the corners where students are stuck because of the pandemic, and uncertainty is highly prevalent in the current scenario. Another important aspect apart from education is health. So the national, again it is connected through digital. So national digital health ecosystem is going to be created in the country. There will be digital registries of health providers that who can give you health services, what health facilities are available, and the unique health identity will be given, which will be helpful for people from the demand perspective and from the supply perspective of the health facilities available in the country. To promote export, to sustain, have sustainable economy, it is very important to have ease of doing business. And ease of doing business depends on process. If processes are centralized, the time reduces substantially and it makes easy to do business in a country, which will increase investments in the country, within the country also, and from the outside world also. So one nation, one registration software will be promoted, and this will be an option for uniform process for registration and anywhere registration of deeds and documents. So everything will be centralized and it can be easily done on one particular portal. Also, to bring further reforms for digital connectivity and ease of doing business, the Special Economic Zone Act now will be replaced with a new legislation that will enable the states to become partners in the development of enterprise and service hubs. So this will take care about new industrial enclaves and will help to utilize optimally the infrastructure, and at the same time it will enhance competitiveness of India's exports. Investments is very important, as we have discussed that private investment in the economy is very important. So this capital expenditure in this budget has been increased by 35.4% from 5.54 lakh crore in the current year to 7.50 lakh crore in 22-23. It is 2.9% of India's GDP. And there are further provisions have been made for creation of capital assets through grants and aid to states. So this effective capital expenditure of the central government is estimated to be 10.68 lakh crore in 22-23, which is about 4.1% of GDP. And the objective is that once the government is going to create a platform by investing, this will crowd in private investments in the country, and which will lead to PPP and the collaborative model through which investments in infrastructure can lead to higher economic growth, which will be duly taken care by agriculture sector and MSME sectors, so that it can lead to inclusive growth in the country. So it can be concluded that since public finance has been a major resource base for infrastructure, and looking at the budget vulnerability of infrastructure finance, it has created a critical factor, is a critical factor for public policy measures that shall we invest in infrastructure or shall we invest in education and health. If we are not going to invest in infrastructure, and if private players are also not going to invest in infrastructure, then economic growth will be hampered. So in this context of fiscal stress, it appears unrealistic to look to the state that they will be investing, drawing on general funds to finance the magnitude of additional investment which is required and which is essential to overcome growing infrastructure deficit of the government. But at the same time, it is important that the share of private funded infrastructure should be enhanced in the country, and the government should provide support. This will be leading to growth of the country through public-private partnership model in the country. So thank you so much.